Hi, I'm William Hale from Your Next EV Sales Limited in Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, Canada. Here's a short video clip on level 1 and level 2 chargers for electric vehicles that I thought would be useful for people who are learning about electric cars and those who may be contemplating to buy one. There are three main types of electric vehicle chargers: level 1, level 2, and DC fast chargers. Level 1 and level 2 are common for charging at home, and level 2 being typical for most EV owners. DC fast chargers are designed for 30 to 45 minute charges at high power delivery to enable practical charge times on road trips. We won't be discussing this type of charger further in this video. So let's have a look at a level 1 charger. This one came, or one very similar to this, came with my Fiat 500e. It's got the part that goes into the vehicle is a J1772 MD plug, and it's typically it's the standard in North America for almost all battery electric and plug-in hybrid electric vehicles sold here, except for Tesla, which would require an adapter from this, but that's no problem. It's the same for level 2 chargers as well. This one draws, this level 1 charger draws 12 amps at 120 volts, and so and plugs into a standard 15 amp receptacle, as is typical in your house. And just to give you some idea of, well, this is a 12 amp charger, and it also comes in 16 amp and 20 amp versions, or you can get them in those higher ones. But this is 12 amp, which is normally what comes with vehicles when they're delivered from the factory. So just to give you an idea of how long it takes to charge with this kind of charger, a 24 kilowatt hour battery, which is what's in the Fiat 500e, would take 16 hours. A 40 kilowatt hour battery, which is what is in Nissan Leafs from 2017 to present model years, 28 hours. And a 60 kilowatt hour battery, which is what is in Chevy Bolt up to and including model year 2019, 42 hours. So quite a long time. But it may be suitable for your purposes. This requires a 15 amp breaker in the panel on a dedicated circuit. And our preferred installation would be with a 12 gauge conductor. And you can install the receptacle where this is to be plugged in about up to 40 feet away from the panel. And then, as I mentioned, a standard 15 amp receptacle is suitable for this. This kind of charger has no fancy features to it, like delayed charge timing, but that's not usually a problem, because most electric vehicles have some kind of feature like this that allows you to start the time in the evening instead of during the day. And the reason why this might be important is that many jurisdictions have a time of use electricity billing structure and charge higher rates during peak periods, which in many jurisdictions, such as Ontario, is between 11 a.m. and 5 p.m. Typically off-peak periods are between 7 p.m. and 7 a.m. and correspondingly they would charge lower rates during those periods of time. So if you want to help the electricity, or help the utility, regardless of whether you care about saving money on this or not, you should charge your EV at night. So let's move on to the level 2 charger. Again, just as with the level 1, this has the J1772 MD connector on it for connecting to the vehicle. And again, in the case of Tesla, there's an adapter that goes on here. And so there's no difference there. We have installed in our showroom here a charger manufactured by Elmec, which is made in Canada. And this is the 30 amp version, and it actually happens to be the smart home version, which allows you to connect with an app, which allows you to control things like charging speed, limit the time during it, you can see real-time power delivery, and you can manage it as a private charging station if you wish. This one draws 30 amps at 240 volts. And that's typical of many of this category of charger, although you can get them up to 80 amps. So a 24 kilowatt hour battery would be charged fully in about 3.5 hours on this 30 amp charger. A 40 kilowatt hour battery would take 6 hours, and a 60 kilowatt hour battery, 8.5 hours. This requires a 40 amp breaker, double pole breaker in the panel, and a dedicated circuit. Our preferred installation would be with 6 gauge conductors, and it can be the plug can be located up to 100 feet from the panel. There are a number of configurations for plugging this in. This is a NEMA 650R, which is also called a welder plug, and that's the most typical of what we see in our area for this kind of charger. But you can also get a NEMA 1450R, which is also known as a range plug, which is what your stove uses. And you can also get it in a hardwired configuration, which would mean that you would wire it through conduit. Elmix 30 amp level 2 charger comes with a wall mounting bracket, which is behind here, and which allows you to actually remove the charger. You can just lift it up and take it off if you want to take it with you for charging at a destination that has 240 volts AC, for example, at a cabin at the lake maybe. They can be mounted indoors and outdoors, and there's a padlock loop here for security. And the price of these chargers, the 30 amp chargers, are currently $700 for the standard version, Canadian, and for the smart home version, 30 amp, which is this one, it's $800, and the NEMA 650R plug. There's no cost for the app, and it's easy to configure, but you have to have full-time Wi-Fi at its location in order for it to function. The electrical installation for a charging station must be done by a licensed electrician, and a typical installation can cost between $500 and $750 Canadian. You should have an electrician look at your service to make sure that your service and the panel have the capacity for this. Otherwise, a level 1 charger may be what you need to install. I hope you found this useful. I'm William Hale at Your Next EV Sales Limited, wishing you a healthy and safe EV motoring and charging experience.